And welcome back to the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. Here we have with us on this Sports Saturday morning, Coach Gene Johnson of the Waller Bulldogs. Coach, how you doing, sir? And welcome back to the show.
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being on board with us, sir. Well, last year was kind of a what they call an up and down year. You had some bright moments, then you kind of pecked out at the end. But a lot to look forward to with this fall campaign. Bring us up to speed on what you've been working on during the off season, sir.
I feel like this off season was great for us. We struggled a little bit in the spring semester with still trying to push out some of that COVID and getting schools to school. But then, so proud of our kids stepping up in the summer. We had a great summer 7-on-7. It's played in maybe the 3 or 4 state qualifying tournaments in the league over in spring. So, and we really believe that we saw a lot of growth in watching them develop in the passing game. And so we were really excited about that. Actually, on top of strength and conditioning, and we're ready to get this thing kicked off.
Very good. It's always exciting when you get the 7-on-7s because you kind of get to focus in on your skill positions, more importantly with the quarterback and wide receiver. But it's also a time to get your linemen with the good footwork conditioning and getting their stamina built up for this fall season, right?
Correct. We saw a lot of growth out of this summer, just from the extra snaps and the 7-on-7 stuff. So we're so excited to see them play this fall.
Very good. Now, with all that being said, before you know it, it'll be the start of a fall campaign. And if you don't mind, Coach, for the listeners, we're going to briefly go through the schedule. Not predicting any wins from your end. We'll leave that up to us on this side of things. But just who you're going to be lined up against in the fall 2021 campaign.
Well, before we get district play started off, we'll open with Bryan, first game of the season, and then second game we'll play Aldine. And as you know, in the 9-team district, we get rolling with 8 straight games with break in the middle, but it'll be our same district realignments from last year. We big win against New Caney, but then dropped one against New Caney Porter that we feel like put us in much better position as far as the playoff spot. They're all certainly big games, but we get down into the heart of that thing with Magnolia West, New Caney Porter. We've got to get some wins in there and see if we can get the team in the playoffs.
Yes, sir. Now, with the momentum that you had and the experience, more important, that you gained, because you had a very young team last year and you had some good success, and just it is somewhat typical of young teams have to kind of get accustomed to the winning ways, and not saying that they look past certain teams, but like you say, some moments got away they can possibly put in their data bank for some future times down the road when it comes to some situations that they'll possibly face up against.
No doubt. I think I had a little bit of the staff coming into this year and just wanting these kids to see what they're capable of doing. And I guess in short, that means see these kids believe in themselves. And I feel like we were in position in a couple of games last year. We were unable to finish them, and sometimes that old D word, doubt, creeps in on us a little bit and affects how we play. And I think the focus this year will just be getting paid to believe what we're capable of doing, turn it loose, and see how the chips fall.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, also what doubt brings up, you talk about wins and losses. Doubts can also keep in that injury bug too, Coach, because if you have doubt, if you belong out there on the field with your competition, you begin to think about things that you probably shouldn't be thinking about, and that's when the injury bug is hit up.
No doubt. That, I believe, along with conditioning, is probably the biggest chunk of why injuries happen. When kids aren't in good enough shape, and when they're not playing fast and confident, which is, I don't have hard data to back it up. I believe that to be true.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, there's definitely been a revamping of the system that you've incorporated at Waller, and also has trickled down through the Pee Wee Football League. There's been a big shift of playing more of the teams in the Cypress area, and I know you were a very integral part of making that transition come about. What was the planning and going into that, and how has that been developing so far?
I think just the growth coming. There's a lot of growth coming out of Cypress and moving out to Waller, and I think, to be quite honest with you, I think through a little bit of the pandemic, had a little bit of hesitation maybe in some of the communities with youth football, and so it's kind of been a combination of lots of things. We believe that a strong youth football program, more than anything else, is developing the kids' love for the game. And the fundamentals are important in youth football, but kids having a positive experience and enjoying the sport and kind of pouring some gasoline on that fire for their love of the game is really critical. And so we want to be involved and help without getting in the way. We want to be supportive and help as we can, trying to watch that piece of our program grow.
Yes, sir. Now, we're talking right now with Coach Gene Johnson of the Waller Bulldogs here on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. The Fall 21 campaign right around the corner. And, Coach, I know it's an exciting time for you. And I lose track. Coach, is this year 3 it'll be for you right now?
Correct. Year 3.
Wow. I guess they say time flies when you're having fun. And I know that it's been improvement each year round. And I know you're looking for great things to be happening in Bulldog Nation.
We are. We've talked a lot about expectations this offseason, and I think that's kind of where we are as a program. We went from 0-9 to 3-7, and we went up to Lufkin with a chance to make the playoffs. It's 4-4 district. Didn't finish that thing out. Didn't play great. And then Lufkin just got after us. I think we got to see continued growth, and in that growth is expectation to win and the expectation that we can compete against anybody who steps out on the field. That's what we're hoping to see this year out of the boys. You talk about time flying when you're having fun. We've got great administration here. We have a tremendous community here. We've got so many great things here. But I think what has made time fly here has been our kids, and that's why coaches and teachers teach is they enjoy those relationships with the kids. And in year 3 and those relationships having grown, it's been an incredible time. I think, I don't know if it's a secret, but you might call it the best kept secret in Texas. We have tremendous kids here in Waller, and to me personally, that's what's made it fly so fast. And why you say time flies is because of those.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And we're looking forward to the continued growth and continued time warp, if you allow me to use that time. For that means that there's a lot of good things happening on both ends. Well, Coach, I'm looking forward to our Sports Report Saturdays where we'll get together, recap the games, highlight the highs and the lows, but more highs than lows, of course, for this Fall 21 campaign. We're looking forward to it, and we want to give you an opportunity to have some closing thoughts and comments as we get ready for this segment to conclude.
Just want to continue to ask that our community jump in behind these boys and support them. We've got some incredible kids. Our senior class is a little bit smaller this year with 18 seniors, but in there we've got some great players and incredible kids. We've taken a lot out of Godfrey and Christian Smith out there, wide receiver, and Josh Solt and tight end for us this year, and then defensively, Rick Kern on the defensive side and Jairo Garcia locked down inside front. And man, what great leadership we've gotten out of Jairo and Garrett and Caleb, and then really from the guy that has stepped up a ton, Malik Edwards at corner, and Kenny Matthews in there at safety has had a good summer. So just really excited to see what the senior class can do, and would ask that our community jump in behind those kids. It's well worth Cypress. Love up. We got some great things.
No doubt about it. And one more thing before we get out of here, Coach. What are your numbers looking like as far as your varsity squad is concerned?
Sitting at right about 38, 39 is what we're projecting out. We'll go scrimmage Cy Lake and Cy Ridge this week. Still got some guys that are competing, and so we've got a couple of 2 or 3 out linebackers, and probably 1 or 2 of those guys will make varsity. We have seen some participation drop overall in the program, and we've kind of pulled some other area schools, and I think just with everything that has happened with the pandemic, it's caused from a lot of different angles and aspects, it did cause some drops. We're anticipate to kind of argue up around.
Okay, sounds good, and we look forward to highlighting each and every one of them, Coach, and continued success on your season moving forward. He is Coach Gene Johnson of the Waller Bulldogs. We're going to take us a break, and we'll be back with more of our Sports Report Saturday here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
The station designed with you in mind, serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas. The Open Mic Broadcast Network would like to take this time to recognize its sponsors and underwriters: Attorney Lee Van Richardson, Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union, Prairie View Athletic Club, Temple of Refuge Ministries, Reflections Paint and Body Shop, Helping Hands Lawn Service, the Hotline Press newspaper of Hempstead, Texas, Diva Skin Conditioner, Purple Drip Daiquiri and Grill. For more information on how you can become an underwriter or a sponsor here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, our number to call is 832-213-8824. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
This is Rob Butler with a little SCS football news. Just 24 hours after reporting to camp, the Lamar University football team stepped on the field last week at Provost Humphrey Stadium to hold their first official workout. The players walked onto the playing surface in the blazing Southeast Texas heat for a helmets-only practice. It marked the first time the players have had the opportunity to hold a practice on the new surface, which was installed just prior to the July 1st transition into the WAC. Last Friday's workout was the first of 18 practices leading into official game week preparations. It also gave the Lamar coaching staff an opportunity to look at the incoming recruiting class together. The second season under head coach Blaine Morgan, Lamar comes to camp with the shortest turnaround from the previous season in program history. Due to precautions surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, the Cardinals, along with most of the league, moved their 2020 schedule to start in late February, with the regular season finale coming in April. The Cardinals stunned the league to finish tied for fifth last year after being picked last in the preseason polls. Unlike the spring season, Lamar returns the heart of its team, including 2021 spring all-conference selections Anthony Ruffin and Tylo Phillips, and starting quarterback Jalen Dumais, to go along with all five starters on the offensive line. In fact, Lamar returns 55 letter winners from last season, including 23 starters, 10 offense, 9 defense, and 4 specialists. An argument can be made for all 11 starters returning on offense, since returning receiver Marcellus Johnson was unable to play the final 3 games of the 2021 spring season due to injury. Defensively, the Cardinals returned all but one player in the secondary and everyone at linebacker. 5 different players recorded at least 2 starts on the Cards' defensive front last season, and Lamar returns 3 of those players, including Phillips. He had 6 starts, Vincent Rollins with 4 starts, and Jack McCarthy with 3 starts. Lamar will kick off its 11-game schedule with the home opener Thursday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. against North American. The game against the Stallions will be one of 5 home games for the Red and White as they begin play in the WAC. Now on to Sam Houston. Sam Houston defensive lineman Jahari Kay and cornerback Zion McCollum were each named to the Buck Buchanan Award watch list last week. The award is given out to the top defensive player in the FCS each season. Kay was a finalist for the award during the spring season, while this is the first time for McCollum to land on the watch list. Only 3 schools, Sam Houston, Richmond, and Jacksonville State, had multiple players named to the list. Each player would be looking to become the first Bearcat in program history to earn the award. And while we're talking about this, let's talk about the Sam Houston running back room. High-quality backs are nothing new to Sam Houston. Players such as Tim Flanders, Keyshawn Hill, and D.D. Terry have been putting up big numbers on the ground over the past 2 decades. But it took just 3 touches as a Bearcat for Ramon Jefferson to show that Sam Houston had something special in his back from the Big Apple. A native of the Bronx, Jefferson exploded for a 59-yard touchdown run on his 3rd touch in the season opener against Southeastern Louisiana, and went to put up 139 yards on the ground to become the first Cat since 2008 to rush for over 100 yards in his debut. Jefferson went on to average 6 yards per carry for the season, and earned all Southland honors and played a huge role in helping take the Cats to the national title with 4 of his 7 rushing touchdowns on the season coming during the playoffs. A back with a rare combination of power and the ability to make any touch a home run, Jefferson was no stranger to success when he came to Huntsville after rushing for nearly 1,000 yards at Garden City Community College in 2019 and going over 1,000 yards for Maine in 2018 when he helped lead the Black Bears to the semifinals of the FCS playoffs. He saw more snaps as the season progressed and had 44 carries in the Cats' final 3 games of the season, including 96 yards on the ground in the national championship game. Those numbers could go even higher this season, but Jefferson is far from the only backfield piece defenders will have to worry about next season. Noah Smith made the switch from wide receiver to running back last season, and despite only rushing for 133 yards on 35 carries, made an impact in several other areas, especially the passing game. His skill saw him haul in 28 passes for 241 yards and 4 scores out of the backfield, giving the Bearcats a change of pace. His skills were never more on display than the Cats' FCS playoff quarterfinal win over North Dakota State when he provided mismatches throughout the day with Bison linebackers, catching a career-high 10 passes for 103 yards and a touchdown against the reigning national champions. The Cats also returned trusting back Tyron Jackson for his senior season. The Fort Worth native enters the year with over 1,300 career rushing yards as a Bearcat, with his biggest season coming in 2018 when he rushed for 809 yards and 8 touchdowns. On to SFA. SFA football coach Kobe Carthel has announced the promotion of Jamarcus McFarland to assistant head coach entering the 2021 season. McFarland, who had served as an assistant coach on the SFA staff for the past 2 seasons, will continue to oversee the defensive tackles in addition to taking on responsibilities of the assistant head coach. McFarland has made an immediate impact on the recruiting trail for SFA, helping land the top FCS recruit in back-to-back years, both defensive linemen. Those commitments helped SFA secure top 5 recruiting classes in consecutive seasons, helping lead SFA to its first winning season since 2011. McFarland is a Lufkin native, and he's also an alum of Oklahoma. He played under Bob Stoops. Now I want to talk about a receiver, Xavier Gibson. The Stats Perform FCS All-American teams were announced, and they include a familiar face and name for the Lumberjack fans. Junior Xavier Gibson was selected to the second-team offense to represent the Lumberjacks on the national stage. Gibson, a Dallas native, led the Lumberjacks with 52 catches for 841 yards last season. He also hauled in a team-high 9 touchdown catches and posted 3 100-plus yard games. For his career, Gibson has accrued 104 catches, over 1,700 yards, and 16 touchdowns, all of which led the Lumberjacks over that span. On to Tarleton State. In late July, the Western Athletic Conference announced their first preseason team awards list since 2012, and 4 Tarleton State Texans were recognized in advance of the 2021 season. On the 2021 preseason All-WAC offense are wide receiver Tyreek Dixon and offensive lineman Zach Perry, while defensive back Devin Hafford and linebacker Ronell Wilson were named to the 2021 preseason All-WAC defense. Dixon is one of 3 wide receivers to make the preseason team after a standout spring in his first season at Tarleton. The senior led the Texans in multiple receiving categories, including touchdowns with 7, yards 614, receptions 43, and yards per game with 87.7. Perry is one of 5 offensive linemen to earn the preseason honor. He played in 7 of 8 games in the spring on an offensive line that allowed just 1.38 sacks per game, a mark that would have put Tarleton 20th in the FCS if not for the reclassification period. Hafford and Wilson are 2 of 5 Texans remaining from the first recruiting class of Witten's return in 2016, as both enter their 6th season at Tarleton. Hafford, one of 4 defensive backs on the preseason team, had 5 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and 25 tackles from the secondary last season in 8 games. Wilson is one of 4 linebackers on the preseason team after leading the Texans in tackles with 76, tackles for loss with 10, and forced fumbles with 3. On to Houston Baptist. Houston Baptist had 6 players named to the preseason All-Southland Conference football teams, tying a program record set last year. Sophomore center Christian Hood and senior safety Patrick Wolf were first-team selections as returning all-conference honorees, while senior running back Drayshawn Manyweather, senior defensive lineman Sagan Yavera, sophomore defensive lineman Philip Osai, and junior linebacker Brendan Young were each second-team selections. Hood started all 4 games last season and earned first-team all-conference honors. Wolf started all 4 games last year and earned first-team all-conference honors. He recorded 32 tackles, 2 interceptions, 4 pass breakups, and recovered a fumble. Wolf tied his career high with 13 tackles and added 3 pass breakups at Louisiana Tech, then made 9 tackles, an interception, and recovered a fumble in a 33-30 victory at Eastern Kentucky. He returned the interception 21 yards, and his fumble recovery came on the Colonel's final drive to seal the Huskies' win. Uvera played in all 4 games in 2020, making 7 tackles and had 1 quarterback hurry. He recorded 3 tackles in the opener at North Texas and made 2 stops at Texas Tech. Manyweather missed the first 3 games of 2020 with an injury, but returned for the season finale at Eastern Kentucky, rushing 9 times for 38 yards and a touchdown. He ranks as HBU's all-time leader with 16 total touchdowns. As a junior, he appeared in 8 games, missing 4 with an injury, rushing 105 times for 723 yards and 7 touchdowns, and making 11 catches for 141 yards and 3 scores. He led the Southland Conference with 90.4 rushing yards per game. Osai started all 4 games last fall, making 22 tackles at 12 solo, recording 1 tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hurries, 2 pass breakups, and forced a fumble. He made a career-high 10 tackles in a 33-30 victory at Eastern Kentucky. Osai appeared in 10 games as a true freshman, recording 36 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hurries and a pass breakup. Young started all 4 games in 2020 and ranked 11th in the FCS and 3rd in the Southland Conference with 10.5 tackles per game. He registered 42 tackles, forced a fumble, and had a quarterback hurry. Young tied his season high with 13 tackles at Louisiana Tech. He earned Hero Sports Sophomore All-America and the Southland Conference All-Academic Honors in 2019. Young led the Southland Conference and ranked 5th nationally with 11.3 tackles per game during that campaign. HBU's season opener is at New Mexico on Thursday, September 2nd in Albuquerque. And finally, watch out for Incarnate Word this year. They could win the Southland. They returned 24 starters, 10 on each side of the line of scrimmage, plus 4 specialists. 2 nominees for postseason honors returned, quarterback Cameron Ward and running back Kevin Brown, each of whom were named to the Stats Perform FCS preseason All-America team. Ward is also on the Walter Payton Award watch list. The Cardinals play an exciting brand of football. They average 42 points per game during the spring, and they have most of their team back for the fall. That's Rob Butler, Open Mic Broadcast Network.